Right. So Tithonus by Alfred Lord Tennyson, like we have already discussed the themes. Would you please mention the first theme that we have discussed over here?
The first theme over here is immortality.
Immortality, that how Tithonus he wishes for immortality, okay, and how Aurora or Eos also grants it. Now we can see over here that Tithonus is a mortal being and Eos is immortal, okay, and they both fall in love with each other, but there's a problem that Tithonus cannot live forever and Eos has to live forever because she is the goddess of dawn, right? So he asks for immortality and even Eos grants it. But like I told you, in the actual version, it is Zeus who grants it because he was the god of the universe. But in the poem here, it is Eos who grants it directly. So you stick to the poetic version. Okay. Then what is
Yes.
the next theme over here?
Second theme is life and death.
Life and death, how we can see that this is a continuous cycle. Life and death is a continuous cycle, right? This theme can be very clearly seen in the first stanza, where the poet says that everything comes to an end, even the woods decay and fall down, even the vapors, when they get saturated, they fall down in the form of precipitation, okay? Every other human being, they come, they take birth, they till the field, which means they do what they are supposed to do on the face of this earth, and then they get buried underneath the same soil. Okay, so that life and death is a continuous process. Then what is the next theme?
Time and decay.
Time and decay. Now, time and decay is one thing, but the ideas have been juxtaposed. Okay, that with time, everything comes to a decay. Again, very relevant from the first stanza's point of view that with time, everything gets ruined, everything gets devastated, everything gets decayed. Okay, and so does happens with Tithonus as well. Since only immortality was granted and not immortal youth, he gets decayed, he gets eaten up, and he gets wasted by time, right? The next is
Desire and regret.
desire and regret. How your unchecked desires can lead to regret. Desire, if checked, can lead to success as well. Okay. But if your desires are unchecked in nature, if you're simply desiring without speculating about it, without contemplating, without thinking a lot about it, then that kind of desire can also lead to a lot of suffering. It can also lead to a lot of regret, okay, and remorse. Then what is the next one?
Grief and memory.
Grief and memory, right? So how we can see that how this grief, he's only now after this unchecked desire, after this feeling of regret, what is he left with? He's only left with a lot of grief. He has nothing else to do in the world, okay? He's only left with an unfathomable regret, grief, and memory about his youthful days, okay, about how he used to enjoy his time with Eos when both of them were young, okay, when both of them were there in their youthful days, okay, and now he does not have anything, he does not have his youth, and all that he's left with, unfortunately, is grief and memory, right? So grief and memory, again, two ideas juxtaposed. Any other theme that I talked about?
Hubris and transgression.
Very, very important. Hubris and transgression. Hubris, hubris means absolute overconfidence, because here Tithonus starts comparing himself to God. Okay, because he feels that a goddess is in love with me, so why not I? I can also call myself a god. I can also have that feeling that okay, I'm equivalent to God. Okay, and that hubris is what leads to transgression. Transgression is again the desire to overpower or to desire to cross the boundary which is meant for human beings. Okay, and that boundary which is meant for human beings is that we are all supposed to die. We cannot escape this. Okay, but since he makes a desire to escape the mortality of human beings, that is when he transgresses. Okay, तो हम इसको contrasting ideas नहीं बोल सकते. Hubris and transgression, they go hand in hand. Okay, they are juxtaposed. Any other thing? I told you that this is dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue, why? Because there's only one speaker throughout. Okay, and also, although Eos has been mentioned, but she's just a passive listener. She's not interacting directly. Okay, then what is the next thing I told you over here? That is
The use of imageries in the poem.
imagery. A lot of
Poem.
imageries have been used. Okay,
Yeah.
imagery of light, imagery of dawn, imagery of decay, right? without these imagery of the how Aurora's beauty, Eos's beauty has been described, okay, when both of them were young, when he used to feel absolutely elated, okay, to see her beauty. So that imagery has been used. Then any other thing which I talked about?
Irony,
Irony. What is ironical about the poem?
that here we can see how the boon is being converted into a bane.
Absolutely. How this blessing gets converted into a curse. This blessing, which was supposed to be a blessing, this blessing, which was supposed to do good to him. Any blessing, blessing always comes with a feel good factor that okay, if it is a blessing, it has to make your life good, it has to make your life better. But here the only irony over here is this is quite ironical that how this blessing does not prove to be a blessing for Tithonus, but it proves to be a curse. Okay, so that is ironical. Now we start with the explanation. Tithonus by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The woods decay and fall. Like I told you that here, his life, he's comparing his life to all the elements of nature as well. Okay, that everything dies. Okay, everything has to come to an end. Why is my life not coming to an end? Right? And the first thing he compares his life to is the woods. Even the woods decay and they fall down. Okay, the vapors weep their burden to the ground. Even the water vapors, when they get saturated, they weep their burden to the ground. They precipitate and they fall down. They don't keep carrying that burden forever. Okay. Whenever they feel that okay, now it is enough, they have to shed it down, they shed it down. Right? Man comes and tills the field and lies beneath, and so is the case with the rest of the human beings as well. When they take birth, they do what they have to do on the face of this earth. They all try to fulfill their onus, their responsibilities, okay, and then they get buried underneath the same soil, tills the field and lies beneath the same soil. And after many a summer dies the swan, and even the swan dies after enjoying many summers. Okay, me only cruel immortality consumes. Cruel immortality has been personified. Okay, where he says that this cruel immortality, it is consuming me. Only my body is not perishing. Only my life is not coming to an end. Only cruel immortality consumes. I wither slowly in thy arms. This thine here refers to Eos, okay, that I am withering. I am decaying. I'm dying in your arms slowly. Here at the quiet limit of the world, here at the quiet spaces of the world, right? Quiet spaces of the world where there is not much life present, where there is not much of light, where there is not much of happiness, okay? Quiet limit of the world, a white haired shadow roaming like a dream. Here he compares himself to a white haired shadow. This is a metaphor, okay? He compares himself to a shadow. Now, what does a shadow look like? A shadow is, something, okay, you can see it is there, right? But you can't actually touch and feel it, right? So he directly compares himself to that shadow because he has almost become like a shadow now. He can see, he can feel that he is there, right? But his existence has become completely nullified, right? So that is why he is comparing himself to a white hair. We know why white hair, because he probably must have become very old. Okay, so that is why he's completely white haired shadow roaming like a dream. Like a dream, this is a simile where he compares himself again to a dream like sequence. Again, dream ke saath bhi wahi hai. Dream is you can feel that you are dreaming, but it is not there in reality. Okay, when you wake up, the dream is gone. Okay, or when you wake up, the nightmare disappears, right? So, roaming like a dream, the ever silent spaces of the East. And where is he roaming? He is roaming in the ever silent spaces of the East. Why East? Can you please tell me?
Because the sun rises from the east.
Where the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, because that is the home to Aurora, because that is where she comes from. Okay, so spaces of the east, far folded mists and gleaming halls of morn, far folded mists and gleaming means shining halls of morning. In the eastern direction is where you can see the bright lit halls and the spaces of morning. Okay, that is the space where she comes from, right? So again, we can see that first of all, there's this comparison which he's making to the different elements of nature. He's comparing his life to the other human beings. He's comparing his life to a swan, right? He's comparing his life to water vapor also. Okay, but then he again, as soon as he's done with the comparison, with comparing his life, he starts with the idea of regret, that why am I not dying? Okay, this cruel immortality is consuming me every day, and I'm roaming over here in the fast silent spaces of the east, like like a dream, okay, and like a white haired shadow, right, in the gleaming halls of morn. This was the first stanza all about. And now we move on towards the second stanza, where this theme of memory kicks in. Okay, देखो regret हमने कर लिया, time and decay is what we have done. Okay, now here we are moving on towards the theme of grief and memory, right? He doesn't have his youthful days, he doesn't have his happy days. Now, the only thing he is left with is the grief and the memory. Now, this memory is what we are going to witness, okay? Memory hai abhi bhi. Like, this is what I was in my youthful days. Alas, okay, again, regret for this gray shadow, once a man. This gray shadow once was a man, okay? So glorious in his beauty and thy choice. I was so beautiful, I was so good looking, I was so glorious in my beauty that I became your choice, right? Who is this your here? Who is
Uh,
this your? Yeah, thy choice. Who is this thy here?
yours.
Yours, okay? Thy choice, who madest him thy chosen, okay? Who chose me, that he seemed to his great heart none other than a god. Here is again another theme kicks in, and that is the theme of, can you please tell me which theme kicks in?
Hubris.
Hubris and transgression. Okay. So hubris when he starts comparing himself to God. None
God.
other than a God. I ask thee, give me your immortality. Directly इसके बाद क्या आ रहा है? Transgression. Okay. Hubris is that feeling, that thought, initial thought which is there. Like I told you that there's a very striking similarity between Tithonus and Macbeth over here. That first initial thought, I can do this also. Okay. In order to have my over ambition materialized. Okay, he also gets that thought first of all, but then he grants it, that becomes a desire, and that is when he desires to transgress. Okay, so give me immortality, then didst thou grant mine, asking with a smile. So again, like I told you, here in the poetic version, Eos grants it directly. And how does she grant it? She grants it very carelessly with a smile. Okay, that okay, I don't care, like okay, if you want it, you take it, right? So grant mine, asking with a smile, like wealthy men who care not how they give. Like wealthy men, here Eos has been compared to wealthy men who do not care when they give their money, okay, or when they spend their money, right? So, like wealthy men who do not care how they give. But thy strong hours, indignant, works their wills. But like I told you, here somebody gets offended. And who gets offended? The goddesses of time, right? The goddesses of time had set a rule for human beings that okay, this is the lifespan you're supposed to live for. Beyond this lifespan, you're only supposed to die. Okay, you cannot live beyond this lifespan. But when Tithonus desires to transgress, but when Tithonus he becomes consumed and blinded by the idea of hubris, right? That is when the strong and the indignant hours they work their wills against him. Okay, and what do? They punish him, right? How do they punish him? They beat him down and marred and wasted. Beat him down का मतलब ये नहीं that he was beaten black and blue. Okay, beat him down means they waste him, they make his life miserable as hell. Okay, they beat me down and marred and wasted me. Marred means they spoiled me, they ruined me, they wasted me. Okay, and though they could not end me, left me maimed. And though they could not end my life because I was given this blessing of immortality, they left me maimed. Maimed means cursed. Okay, they left me maimed. Maimed again, cursed, and you can also say that they left me completely doomed. Okay, ruined absolutely. To
Yeah.
dwell, yeah, to dwell in presence of immortal youth, immortal age beside immortal youth. Again, another contrast. I told you that there are some contrasts over here. Okay, the first contrast is mortality and immortality, and this is the first theme that we are getting acquainted with over here. Okay, And what is the theme? The contrasting ideas of mortality and immortality. Whose mortality? Now, here, this mortality gets converted into immortality, immortal age. Okay. So, one is immortal age and the other one is immortal youth,
You.
right? Immortal age ka representative is Tithonus, and immortal youth ka representative is Eos. Okay.
Yours.
So again, two contrasting things. And all I was in ashes, and all ashes, the leftover. When a wood burns completely, what is left behind? We are left with ashes. Okay. So here he had lived his youthful days completely. The fire was gone. Okay, of the youthful days. Now all that was left behind was ashes. Now he is making request. Okay. Now he is feeling remorseful. And what request is he making now? See, this request is again completely in contrast with the request which he had made in his youthful days. Okay, in his youthful days, he had made this request to grant him immortality, and now he wants this request to be taken back. कौन सा यहाँ पर theme आ रहा है? The theme of desire and
Regret.
yes. Okay, that first request was desire, and the second request is regret. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So can thy love, thy beauty make amends, though even now close over us the silver star, thy guide. Now, can your beauty make amends over here? Okay, make amends means make rectifications, make corrections. Though even now close over us a silver star. Silver star, Venus. Venus is also called as the morning star. Okay, are you aware of this? Which
Yes,
star are
ma'am.
we talking about? The silver star is Venus, and Venus is also called as the morning star. And since Eos is the goddess of dawn, so her path is being guided by the star. Okay, silver star, thy guide. That is why it has been referred to as her guide, right? Shines in those tremulous eyes that fill with tears. Okay, and so here we get to know that her eyes are tremulous. Tremulous means a little shaky, a little wobbly. And why are they appearing to be a little shaky? Because they are filled with tears. Okay, filled with tears to hear me. Let me go. Take back thy gift. Now he's becoming absolutely headstrong about it, that you have to let me go. You have to take back your gift, right? But here we come to know the limit of power of gods and goddesses, right? That although they can grant something, but they cannot take it back. Are you getting my point? Right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that is the limit of power that we can see. Go back, take thy gift. Why should a man desire in any way to vary from the kindly race of men? Now he is regretting that why should a man desire in any way to be different from the kindly race of men? Okay. The race of men, the other human beings, they are supposed to live for a limited time span. Why did I desire to transgress? Okay, and since I desired to transgress, this is what I have to suffer or pass beyond the goal of ordinance. Goal of ordinance here means the ordinary lifespan of human beings. Okay, goal of ordinance, where all should pause and is most meet for all, where everything should come to an end. And that is the thing which is the most meet. Meet means perfect for everybody, right? That rule has been made by keeping something in mind because human beings are not supposed to live forever, right? Otherwise, it will only and only lead to suffering. But since I have deprived myself of that blessing. That is why I am suffering right now. Okay, got it? So this stanza was all about, it was all about memory, it was all about grief, it was all about regret. Okay, it was all about the limits of the power of the gods and goddesses as well. Even they don't have the ultimate power, right? And anything else that we discussed over here? Yeah, hubris and transgression
Transgression.
is covered over here in this stanza. In fact. Okay. Now next stanza again, it's like here is the maximum use of imagery. Okay, because Eos's beauty will be described. A soft air fans the cloud apart. Now he is remembering those days when Eos used to come in all her glory and beauty, right? And how he used to get completely bewitched, completely mesmerized by her beauty, right? So a soft air fans the cloud apart. There comes a glimpse of the dark world where I was born. And so, in that morning light, he can see the glimpse of the dark world where he was born. Once more the old mysterious glimmer steals from thy pure brows, from thy shoulders pure, and bosom beating with a heart renewed. Okay, and once more again he can see. Right now he's living in the present. Okay, he's talking about the present moment right now. Again you come in all your glory, right? Again you come in all your beauty, right? And you brighten up and dazzle up the complete world whenever you come. Okay, from your old mysterious glimmer steals from your pure brows means your face. Okay, there it emanates a lot of light, lot of luminosity, right? Pure brows, and from thy shoulders pure. So it's like, an outline is made. So whenever she comes, there's an outline of Eos, and from her outline, from her face, from her shoulders, there is emanating a lot of light. Okay, lot of rays, okay, of sun, you can say. Okay,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
mysterious glimmer, shoulders pure, and bosom beating with a heart renewed. And she does not become old by even an ounce. Okay, she has a heart beating with a renewed vigor, all right, with a renewed energy. Thy cheek begins to redden through the gloom, and slowly he can see that even her cheeks begin to redden through the gloom of, taking away the gloom of the night, okay, taking away the darkness of night. Thy sweet eyes brighten slowly close to mine, and even the eyes begin to brighten up slowly. Ere yet they blind the stars, and before they blind the stars, while blind the stars, how can she blind the stars? Stars themselves are so bright, but stars themselves become invisible when who comes in the sky? When Eos comes in the sky, right? आपने सुना होगा that the stars, they don't go anywhere in the morning; they are still there. But
Yes.
it's just that their light, their dazzle gets blinded and covered by the light, by the brightness of the sun.
Fine.
Okay, yeah, right. That is why he says that you come and you blind the stars, you make them invisible, right? Their existence becomes completely nullified again. Okay, so you blind the stars, and the wild team which love thee. Wild team means the wild team of horses. She comes riding on a team of horses, right? Wild team of horses which love thee, yearning for thy yoke, arise, and they are yearning for your love, they are yearning for your power, right? Yearning for thy yoke. Even they shake up their manes and they get up, right? Whenever you come, so that they can be prepared. Actually, it is that this is what is shown in the videos and the movies also, that when she comes in the sky, when she rises, she mounts her horses, and then she covers the complete world to brighten up the whole world, right? Okay, so arise, and even they get up, then they shake their mane, shake the darkness from their loosened manes. Mane, you know very well. Mane, what is a mane? M-A-N-E, mane.
Main is that their tail.
Not tail. That the hair, which is the bushy hair, which is above
Okay. Yeah.
horse, right? That is what is mane. Okay, head maybe nahi, you must have seen it in the back area. So when
Yeah.
they shake it, it's very bushy, it's very fluffy, right? So it's very voluminous as well. Okay, so when they shake it, which means that now they're getting ready, okay, to cover the whole world, right? And when they shake it, the poet has compared it very nicely to the shaking of the darkness from the sky, right? So it is not just the loosening and the shaking of the manes, but it is also the shaking of the darkness, the gloom of the nighttime, right? So loosened manes and beat the twilight into flakes of fire. And this is how the twilight gets beaten up into flakes of fire. Did you get it? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is again her beauty been described, right? So this is how she comes in all her glory. She's not old by even an ounce, okay, not even a tinge of it. And every day she comes with a renewed vigor. Her beauty grows every day, okay? There is light emanating from her pure brows, from her shoulders. Her cheeks begin to redden, her eyes begin to sparkle, right? And when she comes, she blinds the stars completely. And again, as soon as her wild team of horses they come to know about her presence, even they arise, okay, and they are yearning for her presence. As soon as they get to know that, okay, our goddess is here, they rise up and they shake their manes, okay. So there's a human beings also, when we get up in the morning, we stretch our bodies. In a similar fashion, when these horses they get up in the morning, they loosen their manes. And when they loosen their manes, this has been very beautifully been compared to the shaking of the darkness from the sky. Okay, and then the whole world gets covered in the twilight when it breaks into the flakes of fire. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Lo, ever thus thou growest beautiful. Again, so he says, this is how you grow beautiful every day. In silence, then, before thy answer given, departest, and thy tears are on thy cheek. And you come in silence, you go in silence. This is why this poem is a dramatic monologue. There's only one speaker. Although she can listen to every request which he is making, but she cannot help him. Okay. So he says that you come in silence and you depart in silence, right? And before even your answer is given, departest, and that tears are on thy cheek. And what the only thing which I can see is the tears on your cheeks, right? Okay. Why wilt thou ever scare me with thy tears and make me tremble lest a saying learned? Why do you make me scared with your tears? Okay. And you get me reminded of a very famous saying. Okay. Make me tremble lest a saying learned in days far off. So he says, I had heard this maxim, this saying in the days far off. He cannot even remember that when did he hear about it, but he does have a faint remembrance of it. Kabhi to sunata. Okay, so in days far off, on that dark earth be true. He does not even remember about his youthful days anymore, but he has faint, hazy memories. Okay, and what was the saying all about? That even the gods themselves cannot recall their gifts. Okay, so this is very scary. He instantly gets reminded of this fact that even the gods, they do not have the ultimate power to take back their blessing. Once if it is given, it is given. And like I gave you Hindu mythology, maybe both are examples. And the very famous example is Bhasmasur,
That's
who
also
started destroying everything. Okay, right? Until God, Lord Vishnu had to take the form of an apsara,
Mohini.
yeah, Mohini. And when she was dancing, she danced in such a way that she kept her, and he was following her dance because he was completely mesmerized by
Mesmerized.
it. So Mohini keeps her hand on her head. Even he keeps follows her, and he also keeps his hand on his head, and he gets destroyed himself. Okay.
Yes.
So again, like it reminds us of the fact that even gods they have limited power. Okay.
Yes.
I, me, with what another heart in days far off, with what other eyes I used to watch, if I be he that watched. So again, he gets reminded of his youthful days. So it's like present and past, present and past. Present is filled with regret and remorse. Past is filled with a feeling of love, a feeling of happiness, a feeling of beauty, right? Again, past kicks in and says, oh, me, that was me with another heart. He doesn't mean to say that it was some other person, but he says, I was a different version of myself. Okay. Another heart in days far off. With what other eyes I used to watch. If I be he that watched, he says, I'm not sure if I was the same person who used to watch you every day. I don't remember. I can't believe that I have become like this. Okay. If I be he that watched, the lucid outline forming round thee, like I told you, when Eos comes, there's this lucid, very clear outline which is visible in the sky. Okay, forming round thee, saw the dim curls kindle into sunny rings. So the curls of her hair, it gets converted into sunny rings. Again, imagery, right? So those curls have been compared to the sunny rings. Okay, changed with thy mystic change. Mystic means something magical. Okay, so with that change, everything gets changed in the sky, and felt my blood glow with the glow that slowly crimsoned all. And so when you used to come, when the warm ray, when your warm rays used to fall upon my body, even my blood used to glow with your glow. Okay, felt, so he here means to say that you were so powerful that you were able to exercise your power not just in the entire world but also upon me. Okay, everything inside me used to get changed. Okay, felt my blood glow with the glow that slowly crimsoned all. So when the sun rises in the sky, you must have seen that everything gets, the color changes. Everything becomes bright goldenish, reddish in color. Okay, so
Yes.
slowly crimsoned all. Thy presence and thy portals while I lay, mouth, forehead, eyelids growing dewy warm. Again, this is tactile imagery. Okay, I can see very well that how a feeling of touch has been described over here. That when you're, this is a sort of a romance like idea given. Okay, that how two lovers they meet, right? And how they can feel each other's touch. So here also he says that I could feel the warmth of your rays upon my body. Okay, mouth, forehead, eyelid growing dewy warm. See, when you go out in the sun, okay, even you feel warm, even you feel comfortable, right? So that dewy warm, it's not that harsh wala warm, like you, that burning wala nahi hota kabhi kabhi na. So it's like dewy warm, that comfortable warm, okay, with kisses balmier than half opening buds, with kisses which are softer than even the half opening buds of the flowers, okay, half opening buds of April. April is the month of spring where you can see the flowers blooming. Okay. So even those half opening buds are nothing as compared to your kisses, he says. Okay. And could hear the lips that kissed, whispering I knew not what of wild and sweet. So he says, while we used to kiss, we used to whisper about something wild and sweet in nature. Like that strange song I heard Apollo. Apollo was the Greek god of music. Okay. And
Yeah.
Apollo was also said to have built the city of Troy, right? Again, kiska reference aa gaya, city of Troy. I told you that Tithonus was a Trojan prince, okay?
Yeah.
I also told you that city of Troy was built by gods themselves, right? And it was built by Apollo. But Apollo ने कैसे build किया था? Music, since he was the god of music, he was singing, and then he was building the whole city, right? So he must have heard that song. And so he says that when we used to meet and when our lips used to kiss, so I we could hear each other whisper about that song sung by Apollo. Okay, while Ilion like a mist rose into towers, while what was getting built, while the city of Troy was getting built. This Ilion here refers to the city of Troy.
Troy.
Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So, direct reference of Greek mythology. Okay. Direct reference of Greek gods. Okay. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Last one, yet hold me not forever in thy east, but still please don't hold me forever in your east. How can my nature longer mix with thine? Again, he is not able to believe that how can this be possible? How stupid I was to even think of something like this. Okay. How can my nature longer mix with thine? Coldly thy rosy shadows bathe me. Again, this is in direct contrast to what he has already said in the previous stanza. क्या उसमें कैसा feeling आ रहा था, dewy warm, okay, but here now the rays of the sun do not feel dewy warm, the same rays of the sun, okay, instead of making him feel comfortable, how are they making him feel uncomfortable? Cold. He's dead now almost. Okay. Like I told you, cold means almost dead.
Yes.
Warm means bright and beautiful. April has been mentioned. Okay. April. But yahan par cold. Everything is cold. Everything is dead. Okay. Cold are all thy lights, and cold my wrinkled feet. He says, your lights do not seem to be comfortable to me. Your lights are all cold. And so cold is my body as well, cold my wrinkled feet. Upon thy glimmering thresholds, when the steam floats up from those dim fields about the homes. So he says, when I look at a distance upon the glimmering means shining. So when you come, I can see the thresholds of this field shining with your light. Okay. And what can I see over there? I can see homes. And out of those homes, what can I see rising up? I can see what can I see? From the chimney, I can see the steam rising up. Okay. Where the steam floats up from those dim fields about the homes. Now, what is this symbolic of? Home, steam, and
Life on earth.
yes, okay, human beings, right? And when he gets reminded of another human beings, contemporary human beings, he also gets reminded of the fact that he is not like those human beings. Okay, those human beings are happy human beings. He is not a happy human being, right? So steam floats up from those dim fields about the homes of happy men. See, he describes them as happy men when they have the because they have the power to die, right? Power, the ability of human beings to die when so many human beings are scared of dying, he is considering it as a power. Okay, that this is a power, this is a blessing. Okay, power to die, and grassy barrows of the happier dead, and the grassy barrows of the happier dead. Those people who are already dead, okay, their graveyard, okay, those people are happier than these one living right now. Okay, so you see how he considers that feeling of ultimate death to be happier than those living right now. Okay, absolute blessing, he says. Okay, because they are peaceful now. He says they don't have to worry about the trials and tribulations of life, right? Happier dead. Now he makes the ultimate that request to release me and restore me to the ground. Alliteration: release me, restore me to the ground. Thou seest all things, thou wilt see my grave. So he says that you see all the things and you have to see my grave as well. How can I live here forever? Okay. Thou will renew your beauty morn by morn. So he says, Tumhara kya hai? You are going to renew your beauty morning by morning. Okay. See, now that feeling of love is also not there. Okay. That
Yeah.
feeling of love was only up till the point when both of them were happy and enjoying. Right. But now when one is suffering and the other one is helpless, cannot do anything, there is hardly any love. Right. So that's what, that perfect idea of love is somewhere uh, devastated, right? So that love happens in every, that that perfect, what is the perfect idea of love? That love happens in every phase of
Happily ever after.
happily ever after does not exist. You must have heard of it, that it's a myth, right?
Yeah.
Here it is proven right. It is definitely a myth. Okay. Had he still been in love with Eos, he would have lived there happily without having to curse his own life, right? But then you see his desperation to die. He does not want to live. He does not want to be in love anymore, right? So beauty morn by morn. And I, earth in earth, forget these empty courts. And what will happen to me? I will get maimed. I will get cursed. I will get wasted. Earth in earth, these forget these empty courts, and thee returning on their silver wheels. And what will you do? You will come every day, and then you will return in your silver wheels again without helping me. Okay, so you either take back your curse, right, or you just grant me death. Okay, and if you see everything in the morning, you have to see my grave as well. Did you get it? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So this was the whole explanation of the poem, Tithonus by Alfred Lord Tennyson, along with the themes which we have already discussed. And like I told you, that this was a dramatic monologue. Okay, there's a lot of imagery which has been. This poem is replete with imagery. Every single stanza, especially starting from the second stanza, there is no dearth of imagery. Okay, and ironical. This ending is quite ironical. The blessing, which was supposed to be a happy thing for him, ends up becoming a curse. Okay, so much so that he is desperate to die, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So
so
this can also be called as a tragic love story.
of course, okay, like tragedy, हमने इसको tragedy पहले ही बोल दिया है because we have compared this character to Macbeth, and
Yeah.
Macbeth, we know very well that Macbeth is a tragic hero. In a similar fashion, even Tithonus can be called as a tragic hero. Same cycle follow, right? There's a desire, then there is hubris, then there is transgression, okay, then there is suffering, and then there's suffering with death. फर्क सिर्फ इतना है that Macbeth meets his death, okay, but here Tithonus is not meeting his death, but he is left to suffer forever. So that can also be called as the ultimate downfall or doom, right? But early there's desire, then there is hubris, that I am the best, okay? Nobody can be like me. Then there is transgression. Tithonus transgresses by asking for immortality. Macbeth transgresses by killing King Duncan, okay? So, and then there is suffering. Then there is suffering. Here he is suffering. Macbeth suffers in various ways, mental trauma. He suffers hallucinations and all. Okay, and then his ultimate doom. Okay, so
Yes,
yeah, definitely this can be called as a tragedy. Very good. Very okay. Please stop.
yes, ma'am.